Hey everyone. So in this video I'm going to be discussing the fifth sample essay that you have read so far, Words of My Youth by Joe McCall. We're going to start off with the rhetorical situation, and then I'm going to hit on some of the other highlights of this essay that I'd like you to pay attention to and possibly think about when you're working on your narrative essay. So for the rhetorical situation for Words of My Youth, our topic here is two moments from the narrator's childhood that taught him the power of words. That's essentially what this story is about, right? What is his angle? You know, this is not necessarily a unique theme, but how does Joe McCall make it unique? How does he make it fresh and new for us? Well, I think one of the first things that he does that makes it unique is he tells these in the present tense. You may not have even noticed it, but I stand at the edge of my suburban driveway. My friend Mick and I play wiffle ball. Mrs. Worth's boxer drools the day away, right? So it's in the present tense, and typically personal narratives, you'll find them in the past tense, and that makes sense. We're the moments have passed, it's in the past, so when we tell the story we tell it in the past tense because it's something that has already happened. But in this case he decides to tell it in the present tense, and I think that that's very effective and unexpected. So something to think about, not an easy thing to do necessarily. It's just more natural to write it in the past tense, but it's something that you can definitely consider, experimenting with. I think the other thing that makes this essay a little different and unique is that he breaks up these two moments, like completely separates them. You've got part one and part two. There's nothing that transitions us from one moment to the next. It's boom, boom. So that's a little different as well. I don't know that that would also be something that would work with every personal narrative, with every story, but because he had a very focused vision of how he was going to accomplish his purpose, this moment and this moment. I don't need to bridge the gap between the two because I'm going to tell each story, each little contained moment, in such an effective way that just standing them side by side will naturally explain how the two are connected. So that was a pretty interesting move on his part as well. So what is his purpose? What does he want us to walk away with when we finish reading this? I think he really wants to show how powerful and hurtful words can be, and to reflect on, how and when we first begin using those words, because that's a big part of this essay as well. It's not just telling a story of the first, of when he used these hurtful words. It's how in those moments when he got in trouble, when there were consequences for using those hurtful words, it, dawns on him that he doesn't even know what they mean or why he's using them. So I think that's part of what he wants us to think about as well. Who would his audience be? I think anyone. I think we have all had something similar to this happen in our adolescence. Whether we are the one using those hurtful words, maybe we're just a bystander, hearing or observing someone else using that hurtful language. Maybe we're the ones that the language is being used to hurt. But I think we can all relate to this on some level. His tone and his voice, it is a weird mix. It is both formal and conversational. It's both mature and youthful. We can clearly tell that he is an adult, reflecting on these moments from his childhood, but yet as he's telling the story, he infuses a lot of youthful language and youthful thought process. So that's a pretty cool combination that he has right there as well. Looking at the opening, I love the cool image of the wiffle ball. Each swing of the bat sends the ball flying into the mystery grip of physics and aerodynamic wonder. I mean, that's a cool image. Um, the ball appears headed straight up before some hidden hand of wind and speed and serrated plastic jerks it over the lawn of the widow next door. And we have the widow's dog, this dog. Mrs. Worth's boxer drools the day away, watching from the backyard in its own state of ignorant awe. That's our first paragraph, basically. So it's a cool image of the ball, some cool observations of a wiffle ball flying through the air, and it lands in the neighbor's yard, the widow next door, and you think that's it. So you might finish reading that first paragraph and not really know yet where he's going to take us. But if you read it closely, he actually does give us a hint as to what his purpose is with this story. And it's about that dog. The dog drools the day away, watching from the backyard in its own state of ignorant bliss or ignorant awe. So who else is in a state of ignorant awe? The narrator is, right? So if you read closely, you can pick up on that little bit of giveaway that he provides there. His details, I love every time he describes the wiffle ball. There's just something really cool about it. I love how he describes his actions and his thoughts while he's trying to ignore the kid man who's walking down the street. This dog's drool, it makes an appearance a couple times throughout. I love how he, Mick bends over and covers his nose with cupped hands in one motion. Blood oozes through his summer-stained fingers and drips onto the hot cement. I can totally imagine that. But I love, especially this summer-stained fingers. Tan and dirty probably, right? I can imagine that. But his reactions and his thoughts during both scenarios, both situations, I think are what add a lot to the story. He's allowing us into his mind, his inner monologue. So that's pretty effective, I think. I love at the end of part one, the kid man, yells at him and his friend Mick, my girlfriend's not a dyke. And then in that last paragraph, he says, it's true. We have called the man's girlfriend a dyke often and repeatedly, but still, standing behind the harsh-sounding, cool-sounding word with blood dripping from my nose, I, who only a minute ago was playing wiffle ball on a summer afternoon, realized I cannot define nor do I understand the word we all so love to use. So he is literally bloodied, he and his friend, as a consequence of using this word, talking about the kid man's girlfriend. And in that moment where he is, suffering this physical consequence, he realizes he doesn't even know what it means. He can't define it. He doesn't understand it. He just knows that it's hurtful, that it causes a reaction. And so he and his friend use that word. And now they're suffering the repercussions of that. In part two, this time it's a different word. They have called someone a Jew. And even in that, they know it's not good. They can tell that it's an insult of some sort, but they don't understand how or why. He even says, they're thinking to themselves, wait a minute, wasn't Jesus a Jew? Isn't Bill Rosenberg a Jew? We all love Bill. This must be something else. It sounds different. It sounds like it shouldn't be said. So we say it. We love saying it. We boys without weapons. So it doesn't make any sense to them why saying someone is a Jew would be a bad thing. Because Jesus was a Jew, Bill's a Jew, we love Bill, right? So it has to have a different meaning. Jew must mean something else as well, right? And that's the meaning that we want, that we're trying to get across, is this hurtful, powerful version of this word. It's not about Bill and it's not about Jesus. It has to be about something else. And we don't really know what that something else is, but we know we're not supposed to say it, but we're gonna say it anyway because we're not supposed to say it. And because we are boys without weapons. That is a huge clue here, a huge insight into what he's trying to convey to us, right? They are boys without weapons, or so they think. So is he trying to say that when you are in that part of your childhood and adolescence, you feel powerless, you feel like you're weak, no strength, no power, so you use whatever you can find at your disposal to make yourself seem stronger. So they're using these words, and the ironic thing is they aren't boys without weapons. They are boys with powerful weapons. They're just not physical weapons. The weapons of words, right? That's a kind of an irony there. Um, I love the last paragraph of the whole thing. He these comparisons. Uh, because his mom asks, "Where did you ever hear a thing like that? That kind of talk?" And he says, "An excellent question. I honestly do not know. I have no idea. The slur just seems to have been out there and somehow not there, like incense, like the way a wiffle ball whips and dips, the way adults laugh at things kids don't understand, the way background noise from a baseball game leaks out of transistor radios, the way bits of gravel bounce out of pickup truck beds, the way factory fires flirt with the night sky, the way sonic booms burst the lie of silence." It's just a big long list of comparisons, right? That the slur, this powerful, hurtful word is just out there, but yet not out there. And how can that be? Well, here are some other things that are there but not there, right? The wiffle ball whipping and dipping. This the background noise of a baseball game on a transistor radio. It's a cool comparison there, and it helps kind of emphasize how nobody really understands where the words come from or why they're being used or why they're hurtful. But they use them anyway. Um, so it's a pretty cool story. I love how he's in the present tense. I love how, he does provide some sensory details, but it's really that inner monologue that solidifies the story for us. I love that it's two self-contained moments, and I absolutely love that he has a clear, controlling idea and a clear purpose with this. We get it, right? It's pretty impactful. We understand why these moments were significant to him, and it makes us reflect upon our own moments like these. So very much worth the time reading. Now you guys can move on and watch the last video on Deep Green Eyes.